Hi guys, welcome to another one of these tips videos. Today we're going to be looking at practice tips. I've had a lot of questions since the drum teacher one last week, and today we're going to look at some ideas for practice tips. I've had a load of questions, so I'm probably not going to list names. They've been coming through Twitter, through Facebook, through the site, through different forums here and there. So there's a lot to talk about. So we're going to jump straight in, and it's really about practicing. What's the best way to practice? Okay, so there's a few kind of bullet points that I'm going to expand on, but these are the core things that I use with my students and also in my own practice to get better results. Okay, so let's jump straight in. I know there's been a ton of questions, so I'm hoping that I'm going to answer all those for you. Okay, so the first one is really if you've got the time, try practicing for results and not time. Okay, so rather than saying I'm going to practice for 20 minutes a day, let's try and practice until we've got it right. Yeah, so that might mean that, if it may take you 10 minutes to do that, it may take you an hour to do that, but let's try practicing for results and not for time, because that makes things more focused. Yeah, you tend to find better results if you practice for results and don't practice just for a set amount of time. Because if you say I've got 15 minutes, after 15 minutes you may just walk away and you've not really achieved anything. If you wait until it's correct and you've got it right, then you've achieved that goal. Okay, so that's the first tip really, is to say practice for results and not for time. Alright, so that's going to answer a few questions there in terms of the practicing side of things. The other thing to think about really is to always practice with a click. Yeah, it's a great tool to see progression. Okay, not only is most music nowadays recorded with a click, or you may find yourself playing in a live situation where you need to be playing with a click because there's backing tracks and samples and things going on, but playing with a click's a really good thing to get into your playing, so you're more versatile. Yeah, how many adverts have you seen that say, must be able to play with a click, must be click friendly? Okay, so it's a really good thing. The other point on that is that get yourself a practice log. So if you're working on single strokes, and on a Monday you practice your single strokes, and then on Tuesday you've got a bit of a busy day, so you don't do that, on Wednesday you come back. If you've not done it with a click and marked a tempo, and you've not written down that tempo on the Monday, how do you actually know if it's any better come the Wednesday? Okay, so if you say I got my single strokes to 100 beats a minute on Monday, when you come to your next practice time, whether that's Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, whenever it is, you can look back at your log, your little book, your piece of paper, whatever it is, and say, right, okay, I got it to 100 on Monday. So right, I'll start at 95, play some singles, move it up a little bit, do your practice time, and you'll find that you might get it to 110. So, and then you look back at your piece of paper you've written on, and you can see that there's a difference in just a few days. You've gone from 100 to 110. If you've not recorded it and you've not done it with a click, how do you know that anything's getting better? Alright, so that's the other tip, is to always practice with a click. Okay? All you need to do in your log is the date, the exercise that you were doing, and the tempo. So if you're trying to push an eighth note groove, for example, up into like drum and bass speed, then all you've got to do is write eighth note groove. The date, got it to 130 beats a minute. Yeah, that's the key to it all. It's a progression, then you can see that you're getting better, rather than just sort of stabbing in the dark and thinking, do you know what, I don't really know if it's better, if it's not better. Yeah, write it down. It massively helps. Massively helps. Okay. The next thing I want to talk about is making sure that your practice is relevant to your playing. All right. So I see so many people that are practicing something, and they'll say they're doing a hand exercise or they're working on some technique on the pad. That'll look absolutely fantastic, and then when they jump on the kit, the technique's gone back to their old ways. Okay. Make sure that you incorporate your practice into your playing. It's massively important. Incorporate your practice into your playing. Okay. Now I wouldn't suggest you do that first time out on a gig. Gradually put it into your playing. Yeah. So if you've learnt a new grip, for example, maybe we've loosened up a little bit, or we started looking at the molar or something like that. When you're in your practice time, let's see if we can get the molar working. Let's see if we can get that into your playing, and then gradually it will start to fall into your sort of real world playing in terms of your gigs and your sessions and things. Yeah. But make sure that your lessons and your playing are the same thing. They're not two separate ways going in two separate paths, because you're going to end up theoretically an amazing drummer, but when it comes to it, your playing's not going to get any better. Okay, so make sure you're incorporating your practice into your playing. All right, that's massively crucial, guys. That's massively crucial. Okay. Something I heard quite recently, which is that practice makes perfect, which is not strictly true. Okay, perfect practice makes perfect. Okay, so if you have structured, great practice time, that's going to make perfect. Okay, don't try and do too many things at once. Don't do 2 minutes on singles, 2 minutes on doubles, 5 minutes on paradiddles, and then I'm going to play some groove, and then I'm going to do this, all within the space of a 20-minute session. That's too many things. That's just too many tangents all over the place. If you're going to work on foot technique, then plan your practice time. On Monday, let's do foot technique. My practice session on Monday is going to be developing foot technique. Okay? That way then you're getting a solid chunk of time. You know, if you're doing it for results, then great. You know, that might be a full hour or so on practice time, on foot technique, sorry. Okay? Rather than doing 2 minutes on it and thinking, oh yeah, well I've got to do this groove, or I've got to learn to read this part, or I've got to do this. Structure it, plan it out. What are you going to do at the beginning of the week? How many practice sessions are you going to get in? What are you going to practice in those sessions? Smart thinking is the key to it. Thinking smart, planning the practice, recording the practice is what's going to make you a much better player. Okay, so that's the perfect practice thing. It really does work. It really does work. I've been doing this a lot recently with my guys, just giving them focused amounts of time on a certain thing, just to prove to them that this works. So maybe even just giving them 5 minutes on a 5-stroke roll. Just letting them sit there, I've put a stopwatch on, and just asked them to mess around with the 5-stroke roll on the kit. They've come up with some real ideas. That 5 minutes up, I've put a track on, it's immediately in the playing. It's immediately in there. They just start moving the accent round, the single round, they're splitting it between hands and feet, they're putting it into the groove on the hats, they're moving it between the ride and the hi-hats. It really does work, guys. You know, really pay attention to it. Okay? I suppose another really important thing, which these are all things that have come in questions wise, and I'm trying to sort of answer them in bullet points, alright? Is always return to basics every few practice sessions, because, you know, to amend and correct your technique or any issues that have come up. You know, maybe if you're quite an advanced player, maybe every couple of weeks or so, just go back and just do a little bit of pad work. Just go back and look at your foot. Is your foot working in the right way? Are your hands working in the right way? Are you playing the most efficient that you can? That's really important. So many people sort of learn a technique and then it evolves over time and becomes inefficient again. Just keep going back every so often and look at the basics, the very basics. If you don't read very often, you know, plan that in. Every 4 weeks, every 6 weeks, just give yourself a reading exercise. Something that I do with my students if they're not reading a lot. Every so often we'll put a chart up and we'll spend a couple of lessons working through a chart, just to make sure and refresh the memory, to make sure that the reading's still in place. You never know when you're going to get that call and it's going to be a reading gig. So just keep everything fresh, guys. Yeah, reading and the technique side of things. Just keep it fresh. Okay? And then I think really the final kind of thing really is to don't worry about working out things and practicing things really slowly. Yeah? The slower you practice it, the cleaner, the more defined it's going to get. And once you understand the basics of it very slowly, it's much easier to start speeding up. You know, any teachers out there that are watching this will have a million students that come in and they want to play everything at 1,000,000 miles an hour. If you can't work it out, slow it down. Yeah, even down to the likes of like 40 beats a minute. Yeah, work something out really, really slowly, and then gradually start to speed that up. Yeah, just start to speed it up ever so slightly, and before you know it, you'll be way past, and it'll sink in and it'll stay in. If you learn it fast and force yourself to play something, it's probably going to be quite untidy and not sound too good, and two, it may not stick because you've done it too quickly. Okay, so don't be scared of practicing slowly. All right, so there are the kind of practice tips that I've got. What I'll probably do is I'll probably put a little slide up at the end with the bullet points on there, so you can look back over that as well. Yeah, but practice for results, not time. Always practice with a click. Record your practice in a practice log so you can see that you're moving forward. Always incorporate your practice into your playing, because otherwise it's pointless really. Perfect practice, structure your practice time. Return to basics every so often, and then don't be scared to practice slowly. And I think the final point really is that if you're struggling with something, don't be afraid to walk away from it. Yeah, don't be afraid to walk away. If you're struggling with something, all you do, if you get frustrated with it, it makes it worse. Walk away, even for 2 minutes. Have a drink, make a cup of tea, do what you need to do. Come back, and 9 times out of 10 it will work. It's just that you've got yourself so frustrated with it that you're not going to achieve anything, so that becomes pointless practice. Okay, just walk away, go downstairs, do whatever you need to do, come back, and you'll probably find that it'll start to work again. Alright guys, so hopefully there's quite a lot of tips there on your practice. Keep any questions coming in, any forums, or find me on Facebook, at Rich Wilson Drums on Twitter. Don't forget to check out Raw Studios TV, the live online lessons. You can get you can do those there once a week at the moment. You can get interactive there, so I'm giving an actual live lesson and broadcasting it over the internet, so you can actually really get into that, and then we can fix problems as we're going, because you can ask questions as we go. They come through on emails to me and I answer those. So check out all that stuff guys. Hope you're finding these videos useful. I know the last one got a lot of interest and I got a million questions. I'm doing some Skype things off the back of the last one. Skype lessons and Skype conversations with a couple of guys, I think tomorrow, regarding some things that came up out of that. So if there's anything like that, you can email me, find me through the website, and I just hope that these are helping guys. So go away, have a think about it, try and put it into your schedule of your practice and your playing, and I'm sure you'll see great results soon. Alright, thanks guys, take care.